And when we look at the wall itself, we want to see what condition this wall is in. Firstly, I want to do this. My hand came off clean. There's no residue from the paint. And I do know this wall was painted in December, so it shouldn't do that. But when you get on site and you do the rub test, your hand should be clean. There shouldn't be any residue from the paint, because that means the adhesive will only adhere to the residue and eventually peel off the wall. So wall surface, check. This wall is acceptable for vinyl application. Okay, so now we've looked at the surface. However, there's other things we need to take in consideration as well. Fixtures, or anything that might be on the wall, we can remove, or we need to take in consideration when we do our application. So this we can remove. Unscrew, take it off, apply our vinyl, and screw it back. However, if we move over to this side, we'll see there's a fixture on this wall we won't be able to remove. So we will have to work over that area. 99% of the time, people won't be able to tell you what paint was used for this paint job. So what do we need to look out for? Paints that are easy to clean, that's got silicone particles in it, or Teflon coated paints. I'm not a paint expert, so I can't tell you exactly. However, what we want to have is a PVA type paint as glossy as possible. So I've looked at some paints and I can tell you that an undercoat works fairly well, because you do get a glossy undercoat, which is non-oily and will not prevent the adhesive from adhering to the surface. So easy clean paints can give us a lot of headaches because it's made to be cleaned easily. So it repels dirt. Therefore, it will also repel the adhesive. So be very careful and make sure you understand what paint was used. Okay. The intended use of the graphic is also important for us to decide what vinyl we're going to be using. But also what vinyl we'll be using can come back to what type of paint was used. So the intended use is promotional graphics. 4-month period, we need to change the shop, new graphics comes in, and we're done. 4 months later, remove and reapply. So think about your typical chain stores, where every season something else is happening in that store, and they need to then also change the graphics. You don't want to use a permanent adhesive or a high-tack adhesive, because that's going to make your job more difficult. It's going to take too much time to remove a graphic and the adhesive. Okay? So it could also be that we need to have this graphic permanently on the wall. Therefore, we will need either a permanent adhesive product or a high-tack adhesive product. Great. So that helps us to identify the vinyl that we'll be using. So if your customer doesn't want this type of texture, you need to go to a different product. This, remember, is cast 50 microns thick. So let's get another product. Now I've got a product that we call wall vinyl, because it is thick and it's got a texture. So if I apply this on the wall now, straight away you can see there's a difference. Speed, first of all, was different, but look at that. You see the texture of a vinyl. You don't see the texture of a wall. So that should help you to decide what product to use for your wall application. Now, looking at what we saw here, let's go back to preparation. So the preparation of a wall is going to be critical depending on the product we're going to be using and what my customer expects. Because maybe my customer wants a gloss vinyl. I don't know why, but they might. We would need to then rhinolite this wall to get it as smooth as possible before you're painting it. Cure it for 7 days to make sure that all the solvents and chemicals that's in your paint evaporate before you apply your vinyl to that surface. And remember guys, always wipe down the surface before you apply. Take a lint-free cloth, some water and soap, damp cloth, and wipe the surface. And make sure it dries. So let's look at a couple of these vinyls. The first three pieces I've got is wall vinyl, specifically designed for wall applications. Now be careful. Doesn't mean that when it says wall vinyl, it will work on all surfaces. This is a removable adhesive we've got on these pieces, but we also have high-tech. So what I want to show you on these is with our satin piece, I can still see the texture of my wall coming through. With my highly textured product and thick material, there's no texture of a wall coming through. On this one, we still have a texture on the vinyl, but it's a thinner product. So therefore, I still see the texture of a wall coming through. Make sure your customer understands this and you can show this to him so that he also picks the correct product. Gloss materials are never a good example for wall vinyls. As you can see, it clearly shows up the texture of a wall and any imperfections that we might see in the surface, like your paint, your high points on the paint. I trust this has helped you, and I hope that you will be trying to apply vinyl to walls much more in the future. And good luck. If you need any assistance, you know where to get hold of us. Have a great day.